right. Hi, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us today for another episode of Rise and Thrive. I'm Katie, a health mentor and sports nutritionist here at EHE Health. I'm super excited to introduce you guys today to our guests, Joe, a performance coach, and Ryan, owner and founder of Food Is Fuel, New York City. Welcome, guys. Please tell us a bit about yourselves.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. So my name is Joe Rodonis. Yeah, I'm a performance coach, as you mentioned. I'm a trainer at Tone House, which is a sports performance facility in New York City. We also have an on-demand app, so we're training virtually now too. But my background actually wasn't always in training. So I actually come from corporate healthcare. I used to work in finance and corporate sales for a long time, selling nuclear medicine. So I transitioned away from that world a few years ago to get into health coaching and training, just to get more on the preventative side of care. I thought the pharmaceutical space is obviously very reactive, and I wanted to get more ahead of it, teach people good habits, and always loved training and working out from an athletic perspective. So that's kind of where I come from, and that's what brought me to New York. So I'm also a fitness model here in New York City. And Ryan and I actually co-host a podcast as well called The Athlete's Pursuit, talking about all wonderful things, training and nutrition and just life in general.
For sure. Yeah, it's a good outlet for us to just kind of use it as almost kind of an audio journal in a way. Kind of explaining kind of how we got to where we are. But I'm Ryan Turner. I'm a waiver on Zoom and everything, so I'll take this chance to do that. But I'm a registered dietitian, certified specialist in sports dietetics as well. I actually started in healthcare consulting and best practice research down in DC. And just like Joe, I think saw how the healthcare industry was extremely reactive and how we're just missing the opportunity to kind of get in front of a lot of these things. A strong interest of mine was always within sports, just personally. And also just helping other people kind of rework how they looked at food, and eventually kind of turned that little bit of a hobby into a career by going back to school over at NYU and becoming a registered dietitian. And got some great experience at Mount Sinai over here on the Upper East Side, working in their heart center. So really getting a good clinical background there, but really following through on my my interest in sports nutrition, originally kind of interning with the dietitian working with the Jets at the time, and then eventually getting in with NYU athletics and working with their athletes for some time. And now working over at Tone House with their athletes and running my own business, Food Is Fuel NYC.
That's awesome. I love that you mentioned prevention, because at EHE, we focus on preventative care. So that's great.
Yeah.
And so it's so great to have you guys here today. And with the holidays approaching, I thought we used this time to talk about some healthy habit strategies to practice. And since it's also football season, discuss my favorite topic, sports nutrition.
For sure, yeah. I think as we kind of approach both nutrition and the training side of things, and especially when we start talking about the holidays and Thanksgiving, I think we get a lot of questions around maybe someone getting kind of nervous about weight gain or not being able to continue with their training goals or their nutrition goals, whatever it might actually be. But I think one of the most important things that we can really teach people is how to approach that and having the right kind of mindset. I think that we do live in a society that is very restrictive when it comes to eating. And from the nutrition side, at least, when I see that can lead a lot of people during this time of year into a roller coaster of kind of this binge restrict cycle. Someone who is really starting to think, hey, I'm really afraid of eating too much right now. I'm going to save up my calories for these larger meals. And, that ends up leading them to be extremely hungry. I always call that their biological hunger. They aren't actually feeding their body. And then they end up getting into these environments where it could be a habitual challenge. It could be an environmental challenge. There's more food around, there's more peer pressure, and that leads them to maybe eating in a way that's not in line with their goals. Guilt comes in, and it really is a big challenge. And what we want to do when we start talking to people about how to look at nutrition and how to look at training is from an abundance mindset, right, Joe?
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that people really think, what can we do? How can we approach food from the side of making sure that we are maintaining the body, really making sure that we're focusing on performance, not just in a gym, not just on a field somewhere, but really, I think that what can speak to a lot of your EHE clients and your patients is that we want to make sure that we know that we're going to be performing in life, whether it's, with your family. We want to make sure that you have the energy, that you end up having, the mood that can be stabilized from things like your activity, from things like food. Also making sure you can perform if you're on Zoom and you're trying to, speak to other clients or other kind of C-suite individuals.
Yeah, I think like the holidays put this pressure, and I do understand where it comes from, but I just think that it's important to remember to have a perspective that like the holidays are a short period of time, right? It's not the entire year, and it doesn't represent your entire training calendar. So from a trainer's perspective, sometimes I just look at the holidays as a necessary rest period. So you can take it easy on yourself a little bit, right? Like maybe you've been good and you have this focused approach with your nutrition training for the majority of the year. So you going home for Thanksgiving for a few days or spending time at home for a week at Christmas, it's okay to indulge. It's okay to, have pie with your family and like have the food that you want to eat without going overboard. I think like Ryan said, I think like restriction, he always says this, restriction leads to rebellion. So allowing yourself the freedom of, if you want to have like, an extra slice of pumpkin pie, you can have it. And just having the balance and, I take like that Thanksgiving is like even a rest week to even maybe take my training a little bit slower so that maybe I've gone hard the week before. So going into that family time, I can be a little bit more present with them. And maybe still, go for a run or do something physical to keep the body moving. But giving yourself permission that it's okay. You can be with family, you can relax and just know you're going to get back into your routine. You're going to train hard again. So, football players, as we mentioned that, they're training in season, maybe, 7-8 months a year, but they're not training at that hard a level for 12 months, right? Once the season is over, there is that month period where they're like, I want to go see family. I want to go travel. I want to relax. So maybe this is your off season time for you to let your body recover too.
Yeah, I think what Joe's mentioning is what's called periodization.
Yeah.
And as athletes go from a preseason into an in-season, postseason, and then off-season, their training, their nutrition, their sleep schedules, what they're usually doing is going to really change. And so that can be the same way around the year. Like someone thinking that they're going to maintain the same intensity in their training every single day throughout the year, or they're going to remain at 1% at a certain percentage of body fat, they're probably going to be cheating themselves because it's not going to happen that way. And you do have to look at it and say, hey, you know what? There's a lot of things that are going to come up. And maybe it is going to be where I am at home with family, maybe not as much this year as others. But, thinking about, okay, there will be more food around, there will be more indulgences around, and this is okay. Let's instead of calling it this challenging period, we can call it almost like a refeed. You can refeed your muscles and utilize this as a time to actually recover and repair, focus on sleep, and that can be good. And we're not saying just kind of we're not saying put too many rules on things. We're not saying throw out the rules, but I think what it is, it's kind of like setting some guidelines up that can really help you treat yourself a little bit more fairly.
Yeah. Some of this is having like this larger perspective for yourself that I think if you're really at the granular level of looking at the day, like Thanksgiving Day, and being hard on yourself of how much you ate or what you put on your plate, that you're not looking at the entire year or 2 years, right? Like I'm not training for a day, like I'm training for my life. So if I have a day, set aside where I'm going to eat and just enjoy, you're literally there to enjoy quality time and time with your family, right? To enjoy these great foods. And they're not always unhealthy foods. Like having a lot of turkey and like having green bean casserole is like completely fine, right? And so you have a larger training goal of like, look, I'm going to train hard and train like an athlete for the rest of the year, right? So don't be so hard on yourself for a day or even a week, right? We're always going to get back on track.
Totally. And I love that you mentioned, rest. I mean, that's such an important part to like any
it's huge.
Yeah, that's really where the body's going to be adapting the best, right? When we actually think about when your muscles grow from training, they aren't growing as you continue to break them down within each workout. They actually start to grow and they rebuild, right, when you actually rest and recover and feed yourself too.
Yeah.
If just thinking about if someone pulls me off the street and they really ask me how they can check in on themselves on any day, whether it's the day before Thanksgiving, after, or the day of Thanksgiving, I do always recommend to my clients just a little checklist and say, hey, focus on something like your timing of meals. Everything we're trying to do with nutrition is just maintain muscle mass. It doesn't have to be about growing muscle. It doesn't have to be about reducing body fat, but it's making sure that you just maintain yourself. And that's the most important thing, because really the biggest challenge we see, if we were to pause everyone right now in history, their kind of where their body composition is, and we maintain their muscle mass, we would have healthier people down the line. Because as we age, every decade we lose really 5% of our muscle mass. And if I end up removing muscle mass from someone's body, we now have challenges. Someone can feel weaker, they have less energy, they start to have uncontrolled blood sugar, in turn they have uncontrolled cholesterol, and so on and so forth. So if what we can do is not so much think about this reduction in body fat every single time, we don't have to think about and overwhelm you with the idea you have to grow muscle, just maintain your muscle, please. And to do that, what we have to make sure we're doing is thinking about feeding yourself appropriately. And really the muscles really do want to feed about every 4 hours. I always say like every 3 to 5, but making sure that you're really feeding yourself about every 4 hours can be a really good guideline. Not on the minute, but making sure that that's a good reminder throughout your day so that you can control hunger, control blood sugar, and all that. And I always tell people too, before you start thinking about, say, calories and numbers and all this other stuff, just tell me, look down at the food that you're choosing to eat. Can you point and identify, just point out your protein and also point out a fiber, right? Your protein and fiber. I'm not telling you anything you can't eat yet, but I would want you to be able to find those two things first. And then let's discuss the things that you're maybe nervous about, something that maybe we can control more, maybe something we need more of. But where's your protein and then where's your fiber? And lastly, I'm always going to make sure that someone's remaining hydrated too. So I would want to make sure that someone is getting hydrated early and often. It's always important. So that's going to help control things like cravings. It's going to actually give them more energy. People always turn to coffee. We're actually having coffees right now just because it's been a busy day. But we always want to make sure that we can get that hydration in there, right? Making sure that you can have a simple calculation, right? Half of your body weight in ounces of water. People hear that, but get at least that in a day, because now what's going to happen, it's going to help with digestion. It's going to push around nutrients in your body. It's going to deliver oxygen to the parts of your brain and their muscles that is going to help you stay awake and aware and stay focused too. So those are my 3 really quick guidelines for any client or someone just asking for kind of a quick go-to.
That was awesome. I love, the looking at this, a healthful mindset versus diet anytime, but especially, now around the holidays. At EHE, we see a variety of patients. If you could address maybe like a nutrition or training program for total population patients, again, maybe more specifically now with the holidays, but anytime. We see patients that are on their feet a lot, such as like line workers, those working in desk jobs, sitting all day.
Do you want to, I think what we can do is we can really help people understand how to best move their body for a day when they are going to be eating, they're going to be enjoying themselves. And I think even for line workers or someone working behind a desk, focusing on strength, focusing on things instead of just thinking about I think people kind of go with this idea of strict cardio a lot. And it's not wrong to do that, especially if you enjoy it. But I think when we can really include some sort of resistance-based training, people can call it HIIT, right? High intensity interval training, or something else can be helpful. Sure. Joe does an excellent job demoing this in our app. Do you want to show them?
Yeah, we can do that.
Cool. Why don't we share our screen? We'll be able to show you something that a lot of your EHE viewers can actually tap into this week or next week during Thanksgiving, and they can have an outlet for training and also nutrition. But we'll show you what we have to offer for you. Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to share the screen here, and we'll kind of go back to this browse and show you what you guys have as an offering for you. So go ahead, Joe, I'll let you take this over.
Yeah, so this is the Tone House television platform. So this is also available on your phone, but we have season 4 coming out right now. These are all the coaches that will be leading the workouts. And this is our whole library. So you have over 200 workouts, individual workouts you can choose from. We have new workouts launching every single week. We even partnered with the Special Olympics, but we have conditioning workouts that you can choose from. Within every season, you can see around 25 videos are coming out each season. And then we also have strength workouts here. So you can do dumbbell training if you have dumbbells at home. We also, if you have access to a gym, we have barbell workouts that you can use. So you can go into the gym and even do bench press or squat racks, things like that. But this is a good example here. This is a conditioning sprint series. So this is something you can do at home in your living room. You don't need much space here. And this is a quick workout. So if you're brand new to training, this is something you can use. It's only about 10 minutes. And you're gonna get that heart rate up really quick, right? So we're doing a lot of athletic movements here as we train through. And you're always gonna see us take like quick breaks, explain what's happening.
Stay with us. You ready?
And you're gonna try and match our pace the entire workout. Just like this.
And 1, let's go. Rock, jump, and drop. Let's go.
Doesn't take a lot of space.
1, perfect. Come on.
So we'll show the nutrition here in a second, but going into with training, we train like this because performance is most important to us, right? So we really believe that, first of all, it's more exciting to train for performance. I think it's way more exciting to be like, how many push-ups can I do? How fast can I get? How strong can I get? How many reps can I complete without stopping? It's way more inspiring. And then like what you learn from that mentality is that the other things are a byproduct. So you losing weight and losing, unnecessary fat is going to happen. You reducing body fat is going to happen, right? And then you also realize that you tracking weight isn't the only thing that's important, because eventually you're going to start putting weight back on because you're gaining muscle, and like we want that, right? So we train athletically so that you kind of can prioritize that, and then it ties into your food, because I want to eat clean and I want to eat properly and hydrate well so that I can complete these workouts effectively, right? So if I'm eating food that just doesn't serve me, your body starts to realize that. And then when I go into these training regimens, right, I'm not able to perform at a high level, and it makes the workouts honestly not so enjoyable. So it's not as much fun. But this is why we also pair these nutrition. So Ryan, let's show them here too.
Yeah.
Ryan has a great cooking show and just like recipes in general.
Yeah. Let me show you two things here. And I think the best thing about these kind of workouts is that what we're doing is we're allowing you to actually open up your body to actually receive this food. So I think when we only think about strict cardio, and how we usually are teaching our clients is that when you're using your muscles more, you're putting resistance on them, it is almost creating this like sponge-like atmosphere that's going to be taking in these nutrients from the foods that you love. So when Joe ends up saying, yeah, let's have some apple or pumpkin pie. I don't know. I'm a pumpkin pie guy now.
I like pumpkin pie.
I feel like I was as a kid, but now I am. But anyway, so I feel like when you end up training your muscles just a little bit more, you actually now ask your muscles to receive that instead of trying to think about just burning off those calories. I'm not saying don't run, and I'm not saying that a turkey trot isn't good. I'm not saying that you shouldn't run marathons, that cardio is bad, because it's not. It's great. I love it. I've run more than a dozen marathons, and it's something that I really do enjoy. But I think that the strength training is something that tends to be a little bit more in line with what a lot of people want. And so when we talk about kind of the offering here, not only can we give people an idea of workouts, but we can also give people an idea of how to kind of take their nutrition to that next level that can actually support them. So here, if someone is able to kind of take a little bit of time, we'll just show you here, and I'll give them tips and tricks on how to approach it.
This is your nutrition know-how. I'm Ryan Turner, Director of Sports Nutrition. This is what I teach my clients. People seem to get really worked up with the idea of overall meal prep. It's something, when even you think about meal prep, there's a lot of ingredients and shopping, and there's knives.
So this is great because we're able to really break things down and really bring people back to the practicality, right? Because there's always great ideas in terms of how someone can actually eat and how you can meal prep, but sometimes it isn't practical. We are busy, right? We were just talking about certain things around right now how, things are shutting down again in some areas and how we have to really kind of roll with the punches. So we can't always spend hours like prepping an actual recipe, but we can be prepared, and we can do that by thinking about what the body requires and how to kind of take that practicality and that nutrition and really bring those two things together. Here too, to kind of make sure that we don't just kind of ask you, or tell you exactly how you can approach this, but actually just saying, hey, if you want to, you can just follow along with some of these recipes, in fact. So something like this black bean breakfast bowl is an excellent thing for a lot of my athletes and a lot of my clients
I'm
too.
Ryan Turner, Director of Sports Nutrition, and today I'm making sure that you aren't staying with your boring breakfast. So many times I'm seeing so many of my athletes just grabbing a Greek yogurt and calling that a meal. It's not. We need to make sure that you're staying fueled right, and this is how you're going to do it. It's just a little bit of a play on a little bit of Mexican.
So this is great. So it's basically just it's opening people up to the ideas of how to kind of pair up that quick eating and still kind of fueling appropriately and not allowing them to fall into that restrictive mindset. So really, if people are looking for that all-encompassing way of taking care of their body over the holidays, before Thanksgiving, during Thanksgiving, I think this is a really great offering for them.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I love that. I love, the viewpoint of looking at food as a way to nourish your body, nourish your training, nourish the work that you do every day. Instead of, looking at your diet and lifestyle as being restrictive and avoiding and reducing things and being worried to overindulge around the holidays. In fact, I think, it's a time to enjoy yourself, and food is one of the joys in life, and view it as a way to really nourish yourself.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I have a couple questions for you guys, if you don't mind.
Let's go.
Any suggestions to get my family to work out with me? They aren't the most active bunch.
Ooh, I love that, actually. We are a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of working out with a community. I think that working out individually can be a little bit, sometimes you just need some help, need some people around you. So I would enter this with your family. I would do like a family challenge of like, let's complete this amount of workouts each month, and even sign up for something like a competition that you would do. I know we have COVID, so it makes it a little bit difficult, but, let's say the pandemic's not going on. If you have like some event, even like an obstacle course, right? Like at Tone House, we have like turf wars. If you have like a Spartan race, something that you can participate in, say, commit to it, sign up to it. Don't worry about your training regime. Just everybody sign up, and then we're going to train together. It's like, this is the program that we're going to do, and work out together. But I had this problem in my family when I got into training, and I would tell you that if you are the individual that's into it, set the tone, set the standard and commit to it, lead by example, just start these workouts and keep encouraging your family to do it, because everybody kind of comes around at their own time. But if you set the tone and the example, and they start to see the benefits of just how your life's getting better, you're getting more confident, you're getting stronger, you're looking better, feeling better, eventually they're going to come around and be like, how did you do this? How can I do this with you? And then have them join you. Just bring them into the fun.
I think that's great. I would also say too, kind of in the smaller time frame, in terms of maybe one of the holidays, like the actual day of, I always ask a lot of my clients to make sure that they don't only make it about food, right? I think Joe does a really good job sometimes of reminding people that it really is about the people that are around you, and it's not going to be around, just about shoving food in your mouth. So don't make it just about food. I ask people to at least plan 15 minutes of activity before and after that main meal, so that again, you're not just sitting across the table and thinking, okay, this is only food. Plan a game, get the dog out for a walk, make sure everybody's involved. Plan an obstacle course if that's going to be the thing. I think, if you end up having kids in the family, bring them outside for, some kind of, scavenger hunt, whatever you can do. But take this time, just because it's Thanksgiving and we think about turkey and all these great foods, that's not exactly what it's always about. Make it about your family, but make it about an active lifestyle as well.
Yeah, and with giving thanks, we're thankful for the food that we're about to eat, but we're also thankful that our bodies are able to move in this way. And you want to remind yourself of all the the things we're really thankful for. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have another question for you. What's the right balance between strength training, total body conditioning, and cardio?
Love that question too. So it's always going to depend on what your priorities are. So I know that's a vague answer, but I'll get you a little bit more specific. So if you are just starting out, I would say that you want to do, I would prioritize strength training. I think that it really gives you more of a foundation for just like muscle growth. And I look at strength training as something that allows you to perform at a higher level in your conditioning. So I personally like to supplement with conditioning. So I will prioritize strength training around 3 times a week if you're starting out, and condition maybe twice a week. So start where you are. If you've never worked out before, I would say 15 minutes of conditioning during those sessions is great, and you can do twice a week, but eventually just understand that you're going to have to start ramping that up as you get better. That's the thing about training that I think people forget, that you cannot do the same thing that you did in month 1 into month 2. There's always an escalation process, but allow yourself to ramp up. So strength training can be 30 minutes and it can be 3 times a week. Condition for 15, 20 minutes twice a week, and do that for a month. And at month 2, start to increase the duration. So now you can go for an hour training for strength. You can increase the weight that you're using for the same movements. And then for your conditioning, increase it to 30 minutes straight. And eventually month 3, increase it to 60 minutes straight. Like, you'll be ready for it at that point. Some people like to dive in and just go 60 minutes straight through. And if you're one of those types of people, great, go do it. But just understand there's that gradual ramp up process. But I think that it's what we were alluding to a little bit. Cardio is amazing. There's such a benefit to conditioning and cardio. And there is a difference, by the way, between cardio and conditioning. But conditioning is about like performing well and moving well. And cardio is just about like doing a cardio aerobic activity, like just running well, right? And muscle generation, I just think, has so many benefits to a good physique, to your increasing your metabolism, to improving performance. So I would try to prioritize that as much as you can.
Yeah, I would just piggyback on that and really just make sure that, you know, the most successful clients that I ever have are the ones that are so open to doing both of those kind of workouts, and usually at least getting like three days of, let's just call it putting resistance on their body. It might not be something where they're, you know, in a gym kind of with a barbell each time, because you can end up utilizing certain things depending on where you start. You can just use body weight workouts. What I would really implore people to do, though, is really sit down with someone and have them just put a roadmap together for you, because that periodization is such an important thing, not just for your body as it adapts over time, but I think just to keep your mind interested and excited and know what you're looking ahead and forward to.
Yeah, it becomes
so
fun.
Yeah, that's why, you know, it doesn't need to always be a dietitian or a wonderful model trainer, but it can definitely be just someone to help you understand kind of what you're going to be transitioning into. It just creates interest.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much. We're almost out of time. Is there anything final you'd like to share about a strategy to practice around Thanksgiving or the days leading up to it, or anything else about Tone House, or where we can all find you?
So the first thing I'll tell you guys is that we created a promo code for all of you guys. So you can get a discount on Tone House TV, and there's also a 7-day free trial. So you can just try, you know, no risk to you. You can just check it out for free and just see what it's all about, and even try these workouts for 7 days. But EHE Health is the promo code, and you get 25% off for your first 3 months. But like I said, there's also that free trial. So I would just check it out, explore, and like do these workouts on Thanksgiving, and just see how they feel and how you enjoy them. But I would just have as much fun as possible with your training. I think like this is an art to me. I think so many times we think of it as a to-do, like I have to train, I have to work out to be healthy. And I think we're missing the fun of when you start looking at training as something. Why not see what your body can do? Why not see what you're made of? Why not see what you're capable of doing? And it's such a personal thing. If you want to do triathlons and train for an Ironman, do that. If you want to play flag football with your friends and get faster as a quarterback or a wide receiver, like do that, train for that, right? Like whatever it is for you, I would just make this so much fun, and then realize training's not a, you know, calendar. I got to do it this day at this time, this day at this time. You can explore and you can have fun and you can dabble into so many different things. You can swim, you can weight train. There's just, it's a whole world out there. So just make sure you're having fun with it.
Whatever. Yeah, I love it. Guys, it was so great. Thank you so much. We're very grateful for you guys joining us today. Really appreciate it. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Any questions, please feel free to email our hotline at EHE. And yeah, everyone have a happy Thanksgiving, and come back next week for another episode of Rise and Thrive. Stay healthy and happy holidays, everyone. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.